All right, welcome back everyone. If you guys are new here, make sure you hit that subscribe button to stay tuned. And today I'm pretty excited about the video because sitting right outside the door there, we got a brand new 2018 or 19 Takeuchi TL6R. And I've looked around on YouTube, there's really no videos like this on YouTube about this machine. So pretty excited to do this video. Basically we got it here, it's December, and we don't have a whole lot to do with it, but we're just gonna go play around with it and kind of beat it up a little bit, see what this thing can do. So if that sounds like fun to you guys, make sure to smash that like button, and let's get right into this video and let's go play around on this machine. The cab's pretty spacious, pretty decent cab in here, very similar to our old one. Only thing I noticed is there's less headroom up here because the whole machine is actually remarkably shorter. They also have the door going this way instead of a roll-up door like on ours. That's because of conservation of the headroom situation. It's obviously got a lot more electronics. It's got hydraulic quick attach, which is unlike a lot of other machines where you got to push multiple buttons. Just hit that to unlock, hit that to lock. I kind of like that. They just got to flap over it, a lot easier. Controls as normal, you can see. It's got a couple rockers on there and two buttons. One's probably a horn, and then this one has got two buttons and then a rocker on there. So heating system, cooling system, everything. You've got auxiliaries up here, lights. This is unlock to take the brake off, things like that, activate your hydraulic. So we're gonna let it warm up for a minute here, and then let's get out there and test this thing out. So, excuse my face, the sun is right in my eyes, but this machine is, I can't tell if it's just the snow or what. It's not like super responsive or anything. It's not terrible, obviously. It's a pretty decent machine. It's a pretty solid machine. We've got if you follow us, a 2009 Takeuchi. I believe it's a 2009, and we love that machine. It's a great machine. It just doesn't feel quite the same as it. This machine does feel a little bit more refined and less of a rough machine, so to speak. Some people like that rough feeling. A lot of the older guys like that rough feeling, I know, where you can actually like feel what's going on underneath you and kind of feel how everything's moving. This has got a lot more electronics in it, so to speak, I guess, and you just don't get that feeling of the earth. You're just kind of feeling a dampened sense of all the controls and things like that. So it's a little bit more refined. I know a lot of the younger generation will like that. The older generation probably won't like that as much. But yeah, this machine, it's decent. I would say it's definitely lacking in power, though. It just seems slow, like the tracks. I don't know if they've got too much traction or what, but if you try to turn right or left when you're already going forward, it just slows it down, and you can feel it like dragging and wanting to pull you a little bit. It's just, I guess I'm not sold on it right away. That's what I would say. I'm not sold on it just yet, but we're gonna throw the forks on it. We're gonna try picking up some stuff. We're gonna try to pick up my dirt screener, which has got to weigh a couple thousand pounds, I would imagine. Everything else we have can lift it pretty easily, but we'll see what this thing can do. Anything important you gotta say? Do you know the specs off the top of your head, what the breakout force was or the weight? I think the weight was like 7,900 pounds.
I think it's 7,700.
77?
100 pounds more than our 2009 TL130. So, which is odd because it's a lot smaller. But, I guess I'll give it a try.
Yeah, hop in it. I'm curious what's under this panel here. I'm not sure what's underneath that. Must be some easy access to hydraulics or something like that. Other than that, another thing they changed, guys, on some of these, or the newer Takeuchis, compared to the old ones, is you can see this track has got a little bit of an angle to it here. They adjusted that. Before, in the past, this was perfectly straight up and down. So that's changed. That's supposed to help when you're backing up into things. It's a lot better. If you guys are in the Minnesota area and looking for a good Takeuchi dealer, you're gonna want to go to Trenchers Plus. These guys are the ones that brought it out. I believe it was Pat Haynes over at Trenchers Plus brought this out to us. They're one of the only Takeuchi dealers in the area, and definitely the best. So that's where our old machine is from. That's where this one's from. so like I was saying, let's get right into some of the specs of this thing. I've got a couple sheets here. We've got the new TL6R sheet, spec sheet, and then we've got the old TL130, which you guys can see is sitting behind me over my shoulder here. I'm just gonna do a little bit of comparison between the two because I guess that's what we've been running for the last like 4 or 5 years, and that's what we know best. But basically these Takeuchis, here's the deal with them. What we found out with this was the first Takeuchi we ever had. Didn't know a whole lot before we bought it. Obviously doing some research online. Dad demoed one way back in the day. Loved it. It was a good machine. We ended up buying one. The price was right. I think it was like $25,000 for this thing with like 500 hours on it or something like that. So the thing was like, you know, just extremely cheap for what it is. And honestly, the deal with Takeuchis is they're just like the keep it simple, stupid mentality. I mean, they're just simple, straightforward. They do what you want them to do. They don't have all the fancy gimmicks, this and that, whatever. And quite frankly, you don't need a lot of that. I mean, the thing's got heat, AC, it doesn't have a radio, whatever. And it didn't have quick coupling, which was, be nice to have the quick coupling. And that's part of the reason why we're looking at a new machine. They're just, you know, time to update, and they're nice to have the quick coupling, all the little amenities, things like that. But I mean, it's just simple. I mean, engine design, all of that, super simple, and it just worked. It did the job extremely well, and it was cheap. It was cheap to run. I mean, 4 years we didn't have a single issue with it other than the little $10 sensor that senses when the boom goes down once, you know, crap the bed, and basically I had to pull that out on the job site, and I either had to just ground the wire out with each other, just took the disconnect, grounded the wires out with each other, or just left them disconnected, and it worked. Downfall was it worked when the boom was up too. So, but it was a quick, you know, an easy thing that was fixable on site. Didn't shut us down for the day or anything like that. But they just keep it simple, stupid, and they're just great machines, and that's why we're looking at another one. With that said, I noticed this new one's got the big screen in it, like we were showing, and all that stuff. So yeah, there might be some more stuff that can go wrong with these, because I mean, you know, the more stuff you add, the nicer it is, yeah, but the more stuff can go wrong too. So let's just kind of take a look at a few of the different things here between the TL130 and the TL6R. So let's go over the specs of the TL6R first. Basically, the operating weight is 7,780. So that's 7,780 pounds. The operating weight of the old machine, 7,600 pounds. So this new machine is, that's 100 pounds heavier basically, although it is a little bit smaller, more compact machine, so it's just a little bit heavier. Tipping load is 5,200 pounds on this new TL6R. Bucket breakout force is 5,900 pounds, and lift arm breakout force is 4,800 pounds. So now the old machine, we've got a tipping load of 4,600 pounds, so that means we've got a higher tipping load on the new one at 52 compared to 4,600, and then we've got bucket breakout force is 6,700 pounds, and the new machine, it is 5,900 pounds. So that's almost 1,000 pounds less of bucket breakout force on the new machine, which, like I was saying in the video, that about 800 pounds, 900 pounds less of bucket breakout force, I could feel it when I was down there trying to dig into that frozen pile, which looked like it probably had 6-8 inches of frost in it. So that is definitely something that is noticeable, is that bucket breakout force on this little bit smaller machine. Next, we've got travel speed. We got 6 miles an hour on the new machine. The TL130 has got, is it the same? Colton says it's the same. There's nothing on this old one. It's pretty much similar, the drives wise. Engine on the new machine is a Kubota engine, whereas on the old one it was a Yanmar engine. Horsepower, 67 horsepower on the old one, 65 horsepower on the new Kubota engine with the TL6R, so a couple less horsepower there, and we've also got a little less breakout force. However, the machine weighs more, it's got a higher tipping load, and apparently it's supposed to be a little bit more sturdy to the ground, but it has a lower breakout force. So that's just a couple of the main specs about the machine, a couple of the simple things about it. If you guys want to see more or these exact sheets here, go down to the description. We'll have these guys linked up there. You guys can go and look at all the specs on the machines there too. What did I think of it? I think you could notice the less breakout force in the bucket. You could definitely notice that it didn't have as much power. Right. I like how compact it was. It's obviously a really small machine, like we were saying. fits tight areas well, I guess, but at the same time, I don't know how big of a deal that is compared to this old one, which is, I mean, it's still pretty compact, it's just taller, because it's got the different door on it, which it's not like we're trying to fit inside anything that's short height-wise, so I don't think that's as important. Yeah, I don't know, I think control-wise, you know, I mean, it felt pretty similar just to ours there. You know, felt like I was running that thing pretty much, you know. I think the controls, they're electronic, aren't they? They're not the ISO. I don't think they're ISO.
I suppose we should probably do our research on that. Yeah, I don't know.
They have to be electronic with all the electronic unlocks and locks. It's got to be electronic.
Yeah.
Somebody knows, comment below.
Yeah. But yeah, overall, I think it's a really good machine for the money. Did you talk about price and what we were quoted?
No, what did he quote us?
I think it was under 45 grand. So
yeah, I think Dad said 43.7 or something like that.
Yeah.
So 43.7 for a brand new track machine.
Right.
7,700 pound unit.
I mean, you know, I'm sure it'll pretty much do almost everything that thing will, and if not more. You know, plus it's obviously a lot newer and has all the new creature comforts.
The only thing I didn't like was the lower bucket breakout force, and I would want to have one with the wider tracks on it.
Yeah.
I like the wider tracks.
Yeah.
Which, that one had the same tracks as our old one, but I'd like to have the wider tracks.
Yeah.
Better flotation in sandy soils and just wet situations, things like that.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's pretty good machine for the price. Especially, you know, I'd say it's definitely better than ours. But that's just because it's a lot newer. Like I said, creature comforts, more features, radio, you know, backup camera, and stuff like that. So.
I'd be curious to, because I'd like to learn more about the engine.
Right.
What is it?
So
The case has got a Kubota engine in it, doesn't it, or no?
it's a Fiat engine, I believe.
Fiat engine?
Yeah.
What was it had a Kubota engine in it that we were just running?
What did we just run?
We just had something that had a Kubota engine in it.
What was it, the neighbor's wheel motor thing? Is that
What we're thinking of? Well, that was a Kubota. But
Right.
no, because I remember looking at the Kubota engine and thinking like everyone's putting a Kubota engine in their stuff now.
Right.
Was it a new tractor or something? God, I can't remember what it was, but everything seems to be going to Kubota engines now.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
Four-cylinder
turbo diesel, what was it, 2.4 liter or something? 2.3? The new one, I think. It actually made
2 horsepower less than that one.
right, but that thing made like our old machine made like I think it was like 40 more foot-pounds of torque. I think. I feel like I could almost notice that just like going into piles and stuff.
What I don't know what it was, but when I started, it was cold. I let it warm up for like probably like 2.5 minutes because we were supposed to keep the hours down on it. But let it warm up for like 2.5 minutes, and I go in reverse, like just to back it up normally, and it just barely crept. It just barely would move, and it would like, it just, on the blacktop, it didn't seem like the drives weren't like all there on the blacktop. I noticed that even after I let it warm up a bit more and drove it just didn't seem like the drives were completely there.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's when it's warm too or what, but it just, the drive power actually being able to go into piles and dig into the ground and stuff like that just didn't seem like it was there. So that was something I noticed that's totally different from that one. So,
Yeah.
but I like the camera. Like, I mean, all that stuff's kind of nice to have. I'm sure it's just another thing to go wrong, but
I think they probably got it pretty perfected nowadays, you know?
I don't know. Yeah. Well, I know that the new Caterpillars, I hear everyone say they got all kinds of, not like the camera necessarily, but just all the extra electronics and stuff, all kinds of stuff going wrong, and the batteries draining, and you know, solenoids going bad, and they won't start when you need them to, and you just all kinds of stuff like that. And I guess that stuff worries me. But there's no, is there any type of particulate filter or anything like that on it? Is there any type of emissions, or
Yep.
is it the same thing as a case?
Yep. So it's under the 74 horse limit, basically, so you don't have to add the DEF fluid, you know, but it's still at the same time, I believe it does do the exhaust filter clean outs every, you know, so ever many hours, or however hard you're using it, or however, you know, that works, but, you know, I think that's every machine nowadays, so.
They all have that,
Yeah.
but there's no fluid.
No.
Oh. So that's good. Yep. Alright guys, that's pretty much going to be it for this video. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you hit that like button like a million times, and then hit that subscribe button. Until next time, we'll see you later.